morning. I really love worms. Worms are one of my favorite things. We have our worm bin here. I've been covering it with old produce that we're not going to eat because it got too old. And there's old hay on top. But underneath is the ground up cow manure that we put in to feed the worms. I might have 100,000 worms in this bin, which is pretty exciting. When I need to catch worms and put them in a new compost, I normally don't take them out of here, although I certainly could, and I will in the future. But right now, I'm trying to build up the population of worms in this worm bin, so I'm not harvesting worms out of here yet. We are harvesting castings out because we cut the bottom off, and that's how we make our potting soil, because the bottom falls out when we cut it off. Now, if I need worms at this time, before this gets to high population and I start harvesting worms, I get them from over here. Because I put worms in bed number 6 last year. And so I have a 10-foot space here that I've covered with cardboard, and I simply keep it moist every day. When I come in here and I sprinkle and I water with the hose, which at this time of year I'm doing that about 3 days a week now because it's getting warmer. We're having a lot warmer days. And we've transplanted most of the onions, and so I'm needing to water more frequently. And so when I do that, I will water the top of that cardboard, and it keeps things moist, and that keeps the worms at the surface. So when I move the cardboard back, there's a lot of worms exposed on the ground. And if I leave the cardboard back, in 5 minutes they'll all go down into the darkness because worms don't like the light. So as soon as I move the cardboard back, I need to be picking the worms quickly. But in just 2 or 3 minutes, I can pick about a pound of worms. And so that is a pretty exciting thing. And the reason I would pick them is to put them in new garden spots, and I would put them in new compost piles. So let me just do a close-up and show you exactly what I'm talking about of having a worm trap made out of cardboard. So right here, we've just moved that cardboard back, and there's quite a few worms in here. So I'm just going to start picking them out. Now there are some native worms in this soil. Most of the worms here are worms that I have cultivated, propagated, European night crawlers, and red worms. So that would be the Eisenia fidetta and Eisenia hortensis. And in a place like this, I suspect there's a lot of worms right there, so I'm just going to take a handful of the dirt, and there were a lot of worms in there for sure. So I don't take all the worms from an area, I just get the ones that are easy to find right on top. So I can just move the cardboard back, and we're able to just get quite a few here. Okay, when I'm done picking a bunch of worms, I like to cover it back up with the cardboard. Put the cardboard right back on. And this gets sprinkled with water every day. Not to be super wet, but just to keep it moist. So hopefully this has helped to simplify some of the complicated parts of gardening when there's an apocalypse and you can't go to Home Depot and buy all the man-made things. Thank you for being a Patreon member. Share this with your friends and family. Tell them to sign up for Patreon so that we can continue to bring you the best in gardening without any man-made inputs.